There's three types of magic systems in most RPGs. Vancian, which D&D uses, magic points, as with Rollmaster, and roll to cast, like with Shadowdark. And in most role-playing games, that's what you get. One of those three. Which brings me to my problem with Dragonbane. It uses all three. Albeit the Vancian part of the system is really how many spells you can store in your brain, which is the Vancian part that I really don't like.
Hey there, it's DM's off. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you know when we upload new videos.
Warning, a lot of this is opinion-based and take what you will. Let's talk about the Vancian method. Dungeons & Dragons has used this exclusively as their main rule system since the beginning. You memorize your spells, you have spell slots. Once you cast those spells, you forget them and have to restudy. This was always really lame to me. Again, opinion, and I always hated it, even when I was playing back in the 80s. We ended up homebrewing spell points for our games. Let's say you wanted to be really good at casting fire-type spells. There's a spell that ignites fire, there's a burning hands, there's fireball, there's wall of fire. How is it that you can forget how to cast fireball after you cast it, but you can still cast burning hands, wall of fire, whatever, as long as you have it prepared? I would say that all of those fire spells are within the same line of thinking. Savage Worlds does this brilliantly. You have a spell called Blast, and that can encapsulate burning hands, fireball, etc. As presented in Dragonbane, depending on your intelligence score, you can have up to that many spells that you can store in your brain. And as a wizard, you would probably want that to be a high number. Probably end up being something like 13, 14, or 15. So that's as many spells as you can store in your brain. Alright, that's all well and good. That gives you a little bit of a cap, maybe for game balance or something like that. But then you're using your willpower points to be able to charge the spells. Like I had mentioned, when I was first playing 1st and 2nd edition AD&D, we homebrewed spell points because the Vancian method just kind of didn't make sense to any of us. Anyways, back to the point system that Dragonbane uses. I actually really like the spell system that they use in there, even though the numbers don't match up. To cast a 2nd level spell, you need to spend 4 magic points. I think it should have been mathematically worked out that if you cast a 2nd level spell, that it costs 2 points. But I digress. I really like that when you run out of magic points that you can actually cause yourself harm and be able to cast by rolling either a 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, or 20, and whatever number you roll, you're going to be able to have a pool of magic points to be able to use that round. Has to be used immediately, but then you take damage in accordance with that, which can kill you. Fucking metal. I really dig that. But then on top of all of this, they add rolling to cast. What the fuck? Why would you do that? Maybe the idea came about that there needed to be a little bit more bookkeeping and scorekeeping and that there is a chance of failure. But there probably could have been a better way to do it all, instead of doing all 3 of the major spell systems that we have modernly in role-playing games today. Now again, the Vancian part of it is not true Vancian, but I don't like it that your brain can only hold so many spells and that's it. You can still limit the amount of spells that you give for balance without making it based upon a narrative or a story that says you can only hold so many in your brain. I just personally don't like it. You might, and that's okay. But for me, having all 3 of those all at once is way too cumbersome. The first thing I would do is homebrew to use one of them. That's it. Use Vancian. You have 13 spells you can cast, that's what you can cast per day, period. Done. No roll, no magic points. Personally, I would just get rid of that entirely. Next, magic points. Personally, I would love to just use the magic point system in there. I think it's very elegant. Or use roll to cast. Get rid of magic points. Get rid of the limit. As it is, there's already a miscast chart inside Dragonbane. But then again, maybe the creators of Dragonbane were kind of Gary Gygax's ilk, and kind of hated spellcasters to begin with and don't want to use spells in their game. That's kind of what it seems like to me.
Gary could not get his head around, literally, could not embrace the concept of why anybody would wish to play anything but a human superhero. Because that was Gary's ideal all growing up. That was his thing. He simply could not understand why anybody would want to be Gandalf or Saruman or, the only tropes we had to compare to. Why anybody would wish to do that? Why wouldn't they want to be Conan or, whatever? Gary hated the idea of a campaign run by wizards, which is why wizards are as weak as they are.
Listen, there is so much good about Dragonbane. I love that they've streamlined the rolls, that you roll under your own ability and you succeed or fail. Period. It's not dependent on the creature's armor class. We've gotten rid of that. It's really cool. As well, the way that they work monsters. Oh my god, I love it. If you're fighting something that is classified as a monster, it automatically hits. It has a type of attack matrix that you roll a d6 and they do a special thing. But you get an attempt to either parry it or dodge out of the way. Which brings up another issue, which is the fact that they use the word dodge for the thing that you're doing, but on your character sheet, it's called evade. Why not keep it consistent? Again, I digress. Can you tell I need things really streamlined? Yeah, that was a quick little observation. If it was up to me, I would use just one or the other. Personally, I would use just magic points, and if they find 400 spells in a book, then they can cast all of them. But they got to use those magic points. Hey, come over to our Discord and join the conversation. And if you like some of our merch, maybe consider supporting us by picking something up. All right, thanks for stopping by Agranak Studios today. We'll see you on the next one. Later.
This video was brought to you by the generous support of our patrons. Consider becoming a patron. There's a link down in the dungeon. Down there. Also, we have links to other places that Agranak Studios is at.
All right, do this and do that and do this and do that. And watch this video.